Welcome to FireWatch. I'm your host, Ronald Campbell. On FireWatch in the past, we've talked about our USAR team many times. And joining us today to talk about one of the lesser-known elements of that USAR program is Chief Frank McLaurin. Chief McLaurin, thanks again for joining us on FireWatch.
Thank you.
Okay, so this part of the USAR program that we're talking about is the Helicopter Rescue Program. Tell us a little bit about how this program got started. Just what is the program?
Ron, about 5 years ago, the Highway Patrol Chief Pilot, Lieutenant Todd Woodard, approached us about the possibility of supplying rescuers to fly with them. The legislature had approved a new helicopter for the Highway Patrol, but it had to have rescue capabilities. And it was just a natural mix to come to someone in the rescue business to supply those rescuers to fly with the Highway Patrol. So over the last 4 years, it has developed into a great program, a partnership, for lack of a better term, between the City of Raleigh Fire Department and the North Carolina Highway Patrol Aviation Division, whereas they have the helicopter, they have the pilots, and we supply the rescuers.
So Chief, if I remember our conversations in the past correctly, the USAR program was started about 10 years ago, basically immediately after September 11th in response to those events. So it seems like that this helicopter program came a few years after that. Was there a reason why there was such a good fit in place for this helicopter program with USAR?
Yes, our involvement in the USAR program with Raleigh, Cary, Durham, and Chapel Hill fire departments grew rapidly starting in late 2001. And part of the urban search and rescue, the disciplines, is swiftwater floodwater rescue, which is advanced training in technical rescue situations. We call it technical rope rescue, advanced water rescue, boat operations, things of this nature. So we had personnel that were already trained that met the prerequisites for the HART program, the Helo Aquatic Rescue Technician. It was just the actual training involved with the helicopters that we lacked, and that came through as soon as we started working with the Highway Patrol. It was a natural transition for us to get into this business. When we approached Chief McGrath and the command staff after being approached by the Highway Patrol, they all felt it was an important program for us to be in, to be able to offer a higher level of service if needed in Raleigh or the surrounding areas.
Since we already had a swiftwater rescue team, when you were looking to place folks on the helicopter rescue team, was everybody who was already swiftwater trained pretty much good to go for this helicopter rescue program, or was there something else that needed to be done?
Well, a lot of our personnel have the training in swiftwater, but to have the advanced training that it takes to get onto the Helo rescue, it was a relatively small number. 15 of our personnel qualified and passed all the testing that is standardized through North Carolina Emergency Management to qualify.
Well then, Chief, what is involved in those qualifications then?
Well, obviously there's a lot of swimming involved. It's distances in the pool that they must qualify in set times, and it's swimming, pulling a victim with you or having a victim attached to you, which makes it much more difficult. They've got to be able to work underwater, they've got to be able to work above water. They've just got to be all around capable of working in most any situation, but it's not all water-based. That is just one of the obstacles where they will be working.
Okay, now before we go any further then, if it's not all water-based, what are some other possible examples where this helicopter team could be deployed?
Well, the Helo rescue can be used anywhere that ground units are having trouble gaining access. In flood situations, you have people on top of houses, you have people clinging to trees. They do a lot with land search. The Highway Patrol does a lot with land search through other law enforcement agencies, and that is one thing. If they're just so far out where a person is located, it's quicker to get to them by helicopter and retrieve them than it is to send ground units in to pick them up.
And I would assume not even just from a ground standpoint, but even some of these folks who are crane operators, hundreds of feet in the air, that would be difficult for emergency workers to get up there if there was an emergency. That might be an opportunity.
That would be. If you remember, probably 10 or 12 years ago, a helicopter was successfully used in Atlanta when one of these construction cranes was burning, and they retrieved the crane operator by helicopter.
So just because we haven't used it yet here in Raleigh doesn't mean the need's not there for such a rescue team.
That is correct. This is a statewide program through North Carolina HART, the Helo Aquatic Rescue. from Salisbury in the western part of the state, they fly with North Carolina National Guard on Blackhawks, and their technicians assigned to other fire departments that respond there. In this area of the state, we have personnel that are trained to fly with the National Guard Lakota UH-72s based in Raleigh-Durham, and then the majority of our personnel fly the Bell 407 associated with North Carolina Highway Patrol.
So the type of training that we have footage of from this past month was actually done out at Lake Wheeler here in Raleigh, and then involves those Bell helicopters of which you speak. Take us through that training. What goes on at that particular training?
We train once a year for water rescue operations at Lake Wheeler. Raleigh Parks and Rec has been very gracious to open the facility up to us. It's been very beneficial for us to have that opportunity in that location to train there. But the first thing they do is called helo casting, and that's where the helicopter comes in and slows down to 10 to 12 knots, or possibly even hover 10 to 12 feet off the surface, and the rescuers deploy off the helicopter and then swim to a victim to get control of the victim. And then the next step is retrieving the victim and the rescuer from the helicopter back to shore. So that's the second evolution you see. And then the third evolution we introduced this year involves a patient that has been packaged by a local rescue squad or a responder that just needs to be picked up and removed from the area. And that's where the evolution's coming in with the Stokes basket, where they fly a rescuer in, he drops down, takes possession of the patient from the local agency, and then they're removed back to a safe spot on land.
Now, one question that's got to be asked is, when you see these rescue swimmers, tethered to the helicopter, how is it possible that they're communicating with the pilot? Because clearly they can't speak with the pilot. How are they even communicating what needs to happen?
Well, there's several options. When they're in the water, they use mostly hand signals. It's a universal set of hand signals between the rescuer and the crew chief in the back of the helicopter that is in constant radio contact with the pilots. The pilots can't actually see the rescuer, so they have to rely on another set of eyes to tell them where they are, how to maneuver the helicopter, where to go from there to keep everything safe.
Okay, so really you've got somebody who's being the eyes for the pilot while he's maintaining and making sure the aircraft stays stable and does what it needs to do for the rescue swimmer below.
Exactly.
So just like in every other element with the fire department, communication is vitally important.
It is. When they're over land operations, they have radio systems they use, and we have redundancy built in, but the rescuers they're busy. Once they are deployed into the water, onto land, they're pretty busy. They have to be self-sufficient and handle the situation that is presented to them. So just some real quick communications with the hand signal seems to be the best way.
And not even handling just the communication element, but then if there is immediate first aid that needs to be rendered, I'm assuming they would have to handle that as well.
They do. Once the rescuers get on the ground, they have to be able to handle the situation regardless of what it is, and they will have limited medical supplies with them on the ground. We're not in the medical transport business end of the helicopter. We deliver the patient back to a local agency that should be in the general area for advanced medical treatment. But all our technicians are EMTs, and they have the jump kits on board, and limited supplies can be deployed with them.
Okay, now you mentioned that you only do this training at Lake Wheeler once a year. What are some of the other training evolutions that have to take place to make sure that this helicopter rescue team stays completely trained and at the ready?
Well, our team trains monthly with the Highway Patrol. Each platoon trains one day. So our technicians basically get 100 hours of training a year above and beyond their normal duties as firefighters.
Okay, and what would some of those other types of training entail?
We have a wide range of training props that we have built on site over at the Highway Patrol on their driving facility. We have props with simulated windows and rooftops. They have vehicles staged in different areas. They have trees that they work in to get the victims out of. And what we do is, while some of our technicians assume the role of rescuers, others assume the role of victims.
And you mentioned too that there's a training that you're going to do shortly at the Poolin that simulates the aircraft actually going into the water. What is that training?
Well, that is, we refer to it as the dunker training. We have a mock-up built of the cockpit of the helicopter that has the seats in it, and seat belts, the same seat belts and all that are used in the helicopter. And what it simulates is if the helicopter were to go down in worst case scenario. And the rescuers are strapped into the seats, the dunker is pushed off the side, and once it settles to the bottom, which would be upside down when it stops moving, they then have to unbuckle and maneuver their way out of the frame to come back to the surface.
Well, it sounds like a lot of really intense training that goes into all this for all of these rescue swimmers so that they can be ready to provide the emergency care that may need to be rendered. Again, Chief, it does sound like this program is really intense. It involves a lot of different training for a lot of different types of emergencies, and we certainly appreciate you taking the time to join us on FireWatch today to talk about this program.
Thank you very much. Our teams are dedicated to this. They love what they do. They train. There's no additional compensation for the additional hours that they put in. Just a real dedicated group of people that have gone a long way to develop a relationship with the Highway Patrol and make this just a model program throughout the Southeast.
Well, thanks again, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks. You believe this guy?
Are you trying to start a wildfire?
Sorry. Pass the honey?
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Each year, firefighters gather from around the state in Nash Square to honor those firefighters who have given up their lives in the line of service to the citizens of North Carolina. This year, on May 5th, the Fallen Firefighters Memorial was again held in Nash Square. Following are some highlights from the parade and some remarks by State Fire Marshal Wayne Goodwin.
We have met here on the first Saturday in May before, and we will be meeting again. Yet the importance and the poignancy of this event never fades. Today, we recognize the courage and selfless service of those who have paid the ultimate price to keep our community safe across North Carolina. We are also here to express our deepest gratitude and support for those families who love them and who continue to go on sacrificing. And of course, they leave behind their friends and colleagues from their respective departments across the Tar Heel State. People who not only miss them, ladies and gentlemen, but who continue to put themselves in danger in spite of their great personal loss. The Office of State Fire Marshal is here for you as well. Our Office of State Fire Marshal, also known as OSFM, its staff members are very proud to be part of and to support and to advocate for the emergency services community. And because of OSFM's close and personal relationship with firefighters all across this state, it is especially important for me to tell you about our strong commitment to reducing first responder deaths and injuries. We work closely with the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation to support the Everyone Goes Home Life Safety Initiatives program to prevent line-of-duty deaths and injuries. We also assist the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation with their driver safety program, educating agencies nationwide about best practices for highway safety when responding to emergencies. And with the latest statistics showing that heart attacks and strokes account for a large percentage of line-of-duty deaths, we are certainly doing our part to promote the importance of health and wellness within the emergency services communities. With all of these programs, and many others like them, your Office of State Fire Marshal will continue to honor the sacrifices of our fallen heroes. Our commitment is to bring every first responder home safely to their families. After serving just under about 4 years as Assistant State Fire Marshal and now just a little under 4 years as our Insurance Commissioner and as State Fire Marshal, I've learned a great deal about the emergency services. Like many of you, I have many family members in the past and now who continue to be in the firefighter community. And I want you to know how much I respect the job that you do. And I say that not only individually, but on behalf of the more than 9 million citizens of this state. As I said a moment ago, if it is truer ever than before that our hometown heroes are our firefighters.
My dad is my hero. He goes into places people want to get away from. He makes everyone safe. But the best thing he can do is come home.
The U.S. Fire Administration reminds you to protect yourself and firefighters. Have smoke alarms on every level and near sleeping areas. Test them monthly. Change batteries as instructed. Install sprinklers. Do your part to get out before firefighters have to come in.
Welcome back to FireWatch. We're out here at Triangle Town Center for the annual Camp Celebrate Fire Truck Parade. Joining us today to talk to us about the parade, Camp Celebrate, and the North Carolina Firefighters Burn Children's Fund is State President David Nance. David, thanks for joining us on FireWatch.
Thank you, Ronald, for having us.
Okay, so the North Carolina Firefighters Burn Children's Fund, what exactly is that?
Well, it's an organization that was started up back in 1989 up in Charlotte. Charlotte firefighters got together and began it. What they started it for was basically to help burn survivors, burn children, adults, any kind of burn survivor whatsoever, help them through medical needs and processes such as that, especially like when they go to the burn center, whether it be the burn center in Baptist up at Wake Forest or here at North Carolina J.C. Burn Center in Chapel Hill, to help them out with travel expenses, stuff like that. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're mainly here to support the burn survivors.
So it started in Charlotte in 1989, you said. Since then, how many chapters has it grown to?
It's grown to right here recently at the last state meeting back just a couple of weeks ago. We put on the 21st chapter.
Okay, and is it located in any one particular region of North Carolina, or is it pretty much statewide?
No, it's definitely statewide. We go from the mountains of North Carolina all the way down to the coast of North Carolina now.
Now, you say that they support the burn survivors when they're at the burn center. Clearly, we're not at the burn center now. How is it that the chapters of the Burn Children's Fund lend their support to events like this?
Oh, events like this, such as the parade and the burn camp and all, they help us out. They donate water, they donate food, they pay for meals. Like, for instance, the Wake County chapter paid for the lunches today that was provided out here at the mall and back at the camp where the kids will be going to about 3 o'clock.
So when we talk about going back to the camp, obviously they're going to load up in all these fire engines that are here, and the kids are going to get to ride to camp via police escort down Capitol Boulevard in rush hour traffic, so the police are clearing the road for them. Once they get to camp, what kind of things can the kids expect?
Well, this afternoon they're going to start off with firefighter relays. Our friends from Stony Hill Fire Department in Wake Forest is going to be there. And believe it or not, about 7:30 they're going to go swimming. And then we'll wrap up this evening after they get settled down there in the cabins and all, we'll have s'mores. And then tomorrow we'll start back off with a lot of different events that will be taking place in, ropes, the climbing wall, different fun events for them throughout the whole day.
So basically it's just a regular camp experience, it's just that the children happen to have sustained burn injuries.
That's exactly right. It's just like a 4-H camp or any other kind of camp, church camps and stuff. The kids will go out and have a large time. And a lot of times for these kids, this is their vacation for them. They're coming out of school this afternoon. The school system's letting them out. I mean, this may be for some of them their only vacation that they'll actually get this summer.
Now, the kids are leaving from here on the fire engines.
Right.
I guess on Sunday, is there some type of a program where the parents will get to see something, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, Sunday, whenever the parents come in, there'll be a closing ceremony, which will allow kids to come up at the very end and tell what their favorite part of camp was, who their favorite camp counselor was, anything like that. And then we'll have time for the counselors to speak, the volunteers to speak. And there's a great big barbecue luncheon at lunchtime. It's paid for through one of our Burn Children Fund chapters. And I mean, the siblings and the families and everything of these burn survivors get to come out about 11 or 12 o'clock, sit down, have a wonderful meal, and then about 1:30, 2 o'clock, they're all gone. They're going back to their homes.
Okay, well, it sounds like a fantastic weekend. If somebody watching wanted to get involved with a chapter of the Burn Children's Fund, or even just lend some support, how could they go about doing that?
The best thing to do is just go on our website at www.ffbcf.org, which is the initials for the Firefighter Burn Children Fund. They can locate a chapter nearest them. We have our chapters listed on there. And if they don't find a chapter close by to them, my contact information's on there. If they're interested in starting a chapter, my contact information's on there. They can just call us up and we'll get them in the right direction.
All right, well, it sounds like you got a great weekend ahead of you there at camp. And we thank you for taking the time to join us on FireWatch.
Good, I'm glad to be here.
If you call 911, do not hang up until instructed to do so. 911 call takers are trained to ask the correct questions so they can obtain important information and get emergency services to you as quickly as possible. If you call 911 by accident, stay on the line until you can tell the call taker that there's no emergency. Otherwise, they will have to call you back or dispatch responders to your location.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at ready.gov.
Protect your family from fire. Hi, I'm Sparky the Fire Dog. Let me tell you a story about the time I built this robot. Come back here!
Exactly. Hey, Sparky.
Hi, Jeff. Hey, I'm glad you're here. I'm just about to test out the safety bot.
The safety bot?
Yep, this robotic marvel is going to revolutionize fire safety. I designed it to help me spot fire hazards. I'm about to turn it on for the first test run.
Okay, well, I've got to see this. How can we help you?
If you could set up a fire hazard somewhere in the station, hey, but keep it safe, no fireworks, then I could test out the safety bot's hazard identifying systems.
Okay, Sparky, let's see how well he does with this. It's all set.
Safety bot activated. Scanning area. Firefighter Jeff identified. Firefighter Joe identified. Area clear. Warning, warning, fire safety hazard identified. These combustible materials are located too close to the proximity of the ignition source. Neutralizing hazard by removing combustible materials and by turning off and unplugging the heating unit.
Whoa, that was pretty good, but he's a bit technical.
Dirt and debris has been identified on the surface of the fire vehicle. The fire station equipment and vehicles must be maintained to high standards.
I think he means you missed a spot. I'll make a couple of adjustments on his language circuits.
Well, I think he needs a little work in that department. I'll go get my sponge.
If I could adjust the compensator. Hey, Jeff! Stop! Come back here!
Hey!
I'm gonna stay here at the station. Joe, go help Sparky find that robot.
I'm on it, Jeff.
Where did that robot go?
I don't see it anywhere. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it came from over there.
Something tells me the robot went this way.
Let's go.
Hey! I need those. The cake is almost done.
This doesn't look good. I'd better turn this off. Unattended cooking is a leading cause of home fires.
That's right, Joe. So, where is our cook?
Hi, I'm John McGrath, Chief of the Raleigh Fire Department. In 2012, the Raleigh Fire Department will celebrate its 100th anniversary as a paid Metropolitan Fire Department. As we commemorate this milestone, there are several activities planned that are designed to honor our past as well as celebrate our present and future. On Saturday, June 16th, the Raleigh Fire Department is having a party in downtown Raleigh, and we'd like you to be part of it. Beginning at 10 a.m., fire apparatus from around the South will join us in a parade through downtown Raleigh, beginning on Hillsborough Street, proceeding down Fayetteville Street, and ending near City Plaza. After the parade is over, we invite you to stay and enjoy the post-parade activities that are planned. These include firefighting competitions between firefighters from around the area. Stay and watch the antique apparatus water display, and bring your kids to the Kids Zone, where they can participate in child-friendly games and where the whole family can learn more about fire and injury prevention. Be sure that you get a piece of birthday cake before it runs out. We are excited to bring this day of celebration to downtown Raleigh in honor of our centennial, and we hope that you will join us as we keep the past alive and rejoice in the present. See you on June 16th.